if you can't tell by my background, the countdown's on. Welcome into Game Day Scoreboard. Kiana Martin here with you as we begin counting down to Sunday's big game out in New Orleans, but also across the association. Now less than 2 days away from the trade deadline with already some blockbuster moves around the NBA. We dive into some best bets for Tuesday night as the second half of the season starts to take shape, but we got to start tonight's conversation with the most important position on the field and the most important game of the week. Well, it was 7 years to the date. A once backup quarterback called for one of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history. Nick Foles asked then head coach Doug Peterson, "You want Philly, Philly?" And that bold call, affectionately known as the Philly Special, helped deliver the Eagles their first ever Lombardi trophy in a 41-33 victory over Tom Brady's Patriots. Now 7 years later, they'll try to create more magic in Super Bowl 59. This time around, this 2024-2025 Eagles team has their own brand of trickery that has helped in their quarterback's favor with 3 rushing touchdowns in their NFC Championship win over the Commanders. Jalen Hurts now has more rushing touchdowns in the postseason than any quarterback in NFL history, surpassing 49ers Hall of Fame QB Steve Young's record of 8. Here's Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni on more on what he expects out of his offense this time around.
If you embrace adversity, it can shape you to who you are, and obviously that's been the case through Jalen and his career. But it is about embracing adversity. This game's not easy, and this game has its ups and downs, and that's how a football game. Seasons have ups and downs. From year to year has ups and downs. Well, that's how a football game goes, right? And nobody in the NFL, I've said this a bunch, nobody in the NFL pitches a perfect game. That doesn't exist in the NFL. You're going to have bad plays. You're going to have good plays. And it's about being able to focus your mindset on the next one. And so, like I said again, this team's embraced adversity. I don't think, you never know, but, the things even going back to the 2023 season, which we haven't talked a lot about since the beginning of the year, we're grateful for that. We're thankful for that. As bad as it sucked at the time, I know I'm grateful for that. I speak for myself. I'm grateful for that because it shaped us into who we are now, and why a big reason why we're back here sitting at this moment again. And so, embracing adversity is huge, and for your development as a person, as a player, as a coach.
Embracing adversity. Well, there's a couple of areas where Jalen Hurts hasn't really seen too much adversity. A couple of hurts in the offense's efficiency in the red zone, along with his passing stats. The quarterback hasn't thrown an interception in the playoffs since 2021. 7 touchdowns to 0 interceptions entering Sunday's game this season. But all but one quarterback with 6 tutties or more and no picks went on to win the Super Bowl that year. The only one that didn't, well, that was Matt Ryan back in 2016, 28-3. We'll just leave that one right there. So what more does Hurts need to do to win his second title? Well, for that answer, we bring in CBS Sports NFL analysts Will Brinson and Emery Hunt. There's plenty on the line for both franchises, but specifically, what do they need to do to hoist that Lombardi in New Orleans? So, Will, beginning with Hurts, what's his keys to a victory Sunday night?
Well, Kiana, I think he's going to have to pass the ball effectively. And that sounds simple. He can do it. But I think the Chiefs are going to do a good job being able to slow down the run game to a degree. As much as you can slow down Saquon, Barkley, and then, of course, the tush push. They did it against Josh Allen and the Bills. They really flustered Allen in terms of those short yardage runs. I think they're going to be able to do it here. I think they're going to force Jalen. I think Jalen Hurts is going to come out. I think Sirianni will design a game plan to come out and pass early on to open up the run game. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. So I think Hurts has got to be effective early in the pass game and downfield in the pass game in order to open up that run game, force Kansas City to sort of back up on defense, and then really you can do whatever you want at that point, and you can grind the clock, keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, and try to bring another Lombardi back to Philly.
I truly believe it's work in the middle of the field. I think this is a matchup where the Philadelphia Eagles have an advantage against that Chiefs defense in terms of the safety play. We saw the safety play be an issue for Kansas City against Buffalo, and the Bills sort of started to exploit it until they got in their own heads and forgot the run game with James Cook. We know Philly won't do that. We know Jalen Hurts will love to take 1,000 swings at bat. It's death by 1,000 cuts in terms of how they operate offense. He's efficient in the passing game, and this efficiency is going to help open up the run game, like Will talked about perfectly, because at the end of the day, it's about putting those safeties in the bind. You have to worry about Goddard. You have to worry about the short hook routes over the Carroll Flat area. I think that's where they're going to exploit. Next thing you know, they creep up, big shot deep down the field. We saw Jalen Hurts have success the first time these two teams met up in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I think he could have the same type of success throwing a football in this one.
You guys saying Jalen Hurts needs to open up that passing attack against Kansas City safeties. But, Emery, we know huge addition for Hurts this offseason has been Saquon Barkley, and we're also aware of the threat that both of them bring. But taking them completely out of the equation, I want to just look at this Philly offense as a whole. What offensive player not named Hurts, not named Barkley, needs to step up and have a big game for Philly?
I'm going to start right in the middle, Cam Jurgens. And here's the thing. He was kind of banged up going into the NFC Championship game. That was a big story. He didn't start. A back issue flared up. And then the replacement got hurt. And then he had to come back in the ball game and still play pretty well. He says he's good to go for the Super Bowl. We'll see, because we know what Kansas City will do is see how healthy he is for the Super Bowl. They'll throw different games, stunts, and twists up front, try to see how healthy he is. But we know, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, big tackle propaganda has led people to believe that it's all about the left and right tackle. But really, offensive success is predicated on guard, center, guard play. And the Eagles have some excellent guards with Dickerson and Mekhi Becton alongside Cam Jurgens at center. So Jurgens, to me, is going to be the biggest key in this ballgame for the offense of Philadelphia.
Yeah, look, the offensive line is everything for Philly, right? But I'm going to say Dallas Goedert. And I think, when you say he needs to step up, what we're talking about is let's just have a big game, right? Because that would imply that Dallas Goedert hasn't been stepping up. He's been awesome since he came back from injury for the Eagles. 7 catches, 85 yards against Washington, 4 catches, 56 yards against the Rams, had a touchdown and close to 50 yards against the Packers. So this is a guy that's been dynamic in the postseason. His physical and the yards after the catch, just finding ways to really complement what the Eagles have on the outside at wide receiver and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, giving Jalen Hurts another easy button. And when you look at what the Eagles have done when the big group of star receivers, Barkley, Hurts, are all out there, they've just been pretty unstoppable on offense. And I think Goddard plays a big part in that.
Absolutely. But meanwhile, for the Chiefs, no stranger to the pageantry and hoopla surrounding the Super Bowl. So minimizing distractions in all forms has been a focal point for Andy Reid over the last week. That also includes the noise surrounding that potential, phrase, three-peat. But here's what Reid had to say about the distractions.
And all this other stuff doesn't necessarily matter. It matters to people in the entertainment part of the business, but without the guys focusing on the game, or the coaches, or myself in that same boat there, that you lose track of what this thing's all about. You can get really caught up in all this, and you can't get too far from